Modern farming teaches us that food production requires constant work. Digging, tilling, weeding, fertilizing, watering, and, well, repeating the cycle endlessly. Ancient farmers would have found this exhausting and unnecessary. Across history, entire societies fed themselves with far less daily labour than modern gardeners expend on a single bed. This wasn't because they worked harder or accepted lower yields. It was because they designed systems that did the work for them. Once those systems were established, the land produced food with minimal human effort. That labour-saving method still exists, and it's shockingly simple. Ancient farmers focused on reducing work rather than increasing output. You know, ancient farmers understood a reality that, well, modern agriculture often tends to overlook. Human labour, after all, is the most limited resource in any food system. Tools, they break eventually. Animals, they get tired. And, of course, people age. The smartest solution, really, wasn't to work harder, but to work less by letting nature handle those repetitive tasks. Instead of constantly fighting weeds, watering all the time, or, rebuilding soil every single season, they actually built systems that eliminated those problems altogether. The real labour saver, if you ask me, was permanent soil cover combined with, well, a bit of perennial thinking. Fields were rarely left bare. Crops, residues, mulch and living plants occupied the ground year-round. This single decision eliminated most weeding, reduced watering needs, stabilized soil fertility, and prevented erosion. Once established, these systems required little more than harvesting and, well, occasional planting. Bare soil invites weeds, loses moisture rapidly, compacts under rain, and sheds nutrients. Honestly, every modern task exists to fix problems caused by exposed ground. Ancient farmers noticed that land covered with plant matter behaved differently. It stayed soft. It held moisture. It resisted weeds. They realized that, actually, nature already solved most agricultural problems if left uninterrupted. Crop residues, straw, leaves, reeds, and even seaweed were returned directly to fields. This mulch suppressed weeds, fed soil life, moderated temperature, and reduced evaporation. Instead of pulling weeds, farmers prevented them. Instead of irrigating constantly, they conserved moisture. Instead of fertilizing repeatedly, they let organic matter feed the soil gradually. One action replaced many. Annual crops, they demand constant replanting and a fair bit of soil disturbance. But ancient farmers, well, they relied heavily on perennials. Fruit trees, nut trees, vines, berry shrubs, and even self-seeding vegetables. These really formed the backbone of their food systems. These plants, they returned year after year without the need for tilling or replanting. So labour gradually shifted from preparation to harvest. Yields became more stable, while the overall effort, quite remarkably, declined. Animals, in fact, were never separate from cropping systems. Chickens followed the harvests, cleaning up residues and controlling pests along the way. Grazing animals, meanwhile, fertilized the fields as they fed themselves. And ducks, well, they managed insects in the wet fields. Instead of hauling manure, farmers let animals apply it directly. Instead of clearing land manually, grazing pressure did the work. Animals became tools rather than burdens. Modern systems degrade and demand increasing effort. Ancient systems improved. Soil organic matter increased. Weed pressure declined. Water retention improved. Each season required less intervention than the last. This compounding effect is why ancient farmers could manage larger areas with fewer people. Roman estates practiced permanent cover with grazing integration. Asian rice systems combined ducks, fish and mulch for near self-maintaining fields. Indigenous food forests produced diverse harvests with minimal labour. These systems arose independently across cultures because, well, they worked. Start by stopping soil exposure. Cover beds immediately after planting with organic mulch. Leave crop residues where they fall. Introduce perennial crops wherever possible. And reduce digging to the absolute minimum. So, let roots and soil life create structure instead of relying on tools. And if animals are available, rotate them intentionally to handle pests and fertility. Replace weeding with mulching. Replace fertilizing with organic return. Replace watering with moisture retention. Each step really removes a task rather than adding one. Gardens require fewer hours each week. Soil stays workable year-round. Crops survive heat and drought better. Weeds decline season after season. And, well, harvests increase without increased effort. This is not because more was done, but because less interference occurred. Industrial systems favour predictability and mechanization over resilience. Bare soil allows machines to operate easily. Permanent cover complicates equipment use. The ancient method doesn't scale well for industrial models, but it scales perfectly for human survival and, small-scale food security. They understood that nature works continuously without complaint. The smartest farmer is the one who honestly just steps aside and lets it work. Labour was saved not through shortcuts, but really through design. If this kind of practical historical knowledge matters to you, well, subscribe to Husbandry. Share this with fellow history enthusiasts, growers and survival-minded viewers who want systems that work harder than they do. These methods fed civilizations with less effort for centuries, and they still can today.